What's up, everybody? My name is Isaac Ward, and welcome to Film Fortress, a stronghold for my movie opinions. Today, we're going to talk about the latest DC film, Wonder Woman 1984. Wonder Woman 1984 was written and directed by Patty Jenkins and stars Gal Gadot, Kristen Wiig, Chris Pine, and Pedro Pascal. Is this latest outing from DC worth your money? Let's find out. First, let's talk about the tone and plot of the movie. This film has a welcome change of tone from the original. However, at some points the tone happens at the expense of the pacing. Gal Gadot and Chris Pine act excellently off of each other during this film, though. And the tone is meant to feel campy and have an 80s vibe to it, and Patty Jenkins meant the plot to resemble Superman the movie. And you can definitely observe that in the plot events. Sadly, the plot is overstuffed, and the scenes don't really connect to each other like you would think it would. I felt confused after some plot events just appeared out of the blue. So, although the acting was good, the plot overridden my investment in these characters. Next, let's talk about the villains. As shown in the trailers released in the film, Cheetah and Max Lord are the villains of this film. I felt like Pedro Pascal and Kristen Wiig acted excellently well as these villains. However, the ideas explored through the villains are extremely cliché, and several plot holes arise to these villains. Also, the events in the film can really occur in any order, and it would not change the outcome of the film. I believe that having two villains wasn't really essential to this movie, and that they could have cut one of them out and just kept either Cheetah or Max Lord. Either one would have worked. Next, let's talk about the pacing. So much happens in this film that I felt really confused about sections of it. The first act of this film was about as good as the first act of the original Wonder Woman. However, when certain ideas were brought to the table in Act 2, they were extremely cliché, and we've seen them a dozen times. So it did not work for me at all. And the pacing slows down a ton once these ideas are shown to us. I safely saw this film in a theater in my hometown, and I looked to my left, and an audience member fell asleep during the second act of this film. That's how bad it is. And thankfully, the action sequence in Act 3 do revive the pacing of the film, and I believe the third act definitely surpasses the third act of the first installment with the CGI fest. It was awful. I enjoyed the acting and the first act of this film. However, there were also action sequences that weren't the best, but there were some that did appeal to me towards the end of the film. And there was a dead pacing and absurd ideas that were presented throughout, mostly in Act 2, though. And I definitely don't think this film lives up to its predecessor, and I don't believe it is worth the price of admission in a theater. So if you really like Wonder Woman, I'd recommend watching it on HBO Max, but you might be disappointed. I think this film is below average, and I will give it a 4 out of 10 rating. Thanks for visiting the Film Fortress today. I'd like to know what you thought of Wonder Woman 1984. If you want your opinions protected inside of my fortress's magnificent walls, please leave them in the comment section down below. To grow our Film Fortress, please hit the subscribe button. Finally, remember, your opinions matter and deserve to be valued. See you next time.